Hi everyone, Erica from Bravo Migration here to talk to you about some changes to the work experience requirement in relation to the 482 visa. In August this year, there were some updates to what is expected from applicants in terms of their previous work experience when applying for a 482 TSS visa. So the legal requirement, and that hasn't changed, is that an applicant must have at least 2 years of work experience in a very closely related occupation so they are able to apply for the 482 TSS visa. Before August 2024, the policy around that requirement was that those 2 years of work experience had to be full-time and had to be in the last 5 years. Also, casual work was out of the question. So what we saw in August 2024 was an update to the policy in relation to this requirement. We still need 2 years of work experience in a closely related role, but the requirement that that work experience had to be full-time has been removed. Also, the requirement that that work experience needs to be in the last 5 years has been removed from policy, and casual work's now accepted. So what does that mean in practice? You still need to show 2 years of work experience in the same occupation or something very relevant and related to what you're going to do here when you're applying for the 482 TSS visa, but now part-time work will be accepted and not counted in half as it used to be, and casual work will be also accepted. Plus, that work experience could be a little older, you're still gonna be able to claim that as meeting the requirements for the visa. Now, what's in our future, and there's a future, an expected change coming in November, is that those 2 years of work experience will go down to just 1. So before we had the 482 visa, we had the 457 sponsorship visa, very similar but different in many ways. That visa didn't require any work experience if you had the right qualification. When the 482 visa was introduced in 2018, we saw a change in relation to that. You still need to have the right qualification for the role being offered to you here, but you will have to show 2 years of work experience, and that's been the case with the 482 visa since 2018. Now, the 457 didn't have the requirement, and what we're seeing is the government kind of returning to those days. It's not going to be no work experience required anymore, but from 2 years it's going to go down to 1. Now, we're getting a lot of questions from people who seem to believe that they only need to show 1 year of work experience and they qualify for this visa. As I was saying earlier, you need to meet 2 skills requirements. Let's call them skill requirements. 1, you need to have the right skills to perform the job being offered to you. So normally that's a relevant qualification. There's some exceptions where a non-relevant qualification could be used. And there's cases where you can replace that qualification with 3 or 5 years of work experience. That requirement still remains. That's what we call the skill threshold in the 482 TSS visa. Now, on top of that, as of today, we have also a legal requirement that anyone applying for the visa on top of their qualifications needs to have 2 years of work experience. That requirement is changing in November. That's going down to 1 year only. But the policy has already changed in August. So work doesn't have to be full-time anymore. It doesn't need to be in the last 5 years. And casual work could be considered. As long as everything's at the right level and you do have experience, that will allow you to perform the role here without supervision. In other words, you know what you're doing. So we believe at Bravo that the 482 visa is becoming more flexible. We understand that this government is trying to favor Australian employers who need skilled workers. There's a lot of other noise going around in terms of international students and numbers for permanent residents, but their actions in terms of changes to policy and legislation speak louder than the noise they're making on the media. So it's already easier to meet the work requirement, the work experience requirement for the 482 visa. In November, it will be even easier. So it's a great time for you to explore your possibilities in terms of this visa. If you're in Australia and you have a job offer from an Australian employer in your field, you can't go crazy and find a job that has completely nothing to do with your background and expect to be sponsored. But if you're in your field, we'll be able to book a discovery call with one of our migration agents so they can explore your options. November is coming, it's October already, so it's going to be even easier for some people to qualify next month. We have some clients who are just waiting for that legislation to change and they'll become eligible. Maybe you're one of them. So get in touch with us and we'll book a discovery call for you. Thanks for watching.